Hello and welcome to TheFederal. Today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Israel, Mr. Issack Thangjom. Mr. Thangjom is the project director of Degel Menashe, which is a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting the integration of a unique Jewish community from India's Manipur and Mizoram into Israeli society. In this episode, we'll delve into the inspiring work of Degel Menashe and uncover the fascinating oral history of the Bnei Menashe, a community that traces its Jewish heritage back to the lost tribes of Israel. So, Mr. Issack, please welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Samir. It's indeed a pleasure to be here with you, talking to you.
So, sir, to begin with, just give us a sense of how the situation on the ground following the ceasefire. Would you say there is a sense of relief among the people?
Okay, now the thing is that I'm sure all of you are aware that this war's been going on for almost 2 years now. It's currently on its second year, and of course, the thing is that there's a kind of a okay now since the ceasefire was announced yesterday, this morning, as opposed to other days, we've had no rockets at all, no missiles being fired towards us, and it's quiet. Because one thing is that in the uh, yesterday when just before the ceasefire was announced, we had to run to the bomb shelter about 6 times, and of course I
Oh,
think the Iranian armed forces were trying to make the best out of it before the ceasefire comes into force. So now there's a kind of an uneasy calm, but nevertheless, and hopefully it'll hold.
Bnei Menashe community played in this conflict, and do members of the community serve in the Israeli Defense Force?
Oh, actually, the thing is that I'm sure you all must be aware that there's compulsory conscription in Israel. So the thing is that
Right.
it's not a question of just 2%, but like there are hundreds of young boys and girls serving in the IDF right now, as a matter of fact. So
Mhm.
the thing is that I think you probably meant the 2% were the casualties that we had. Two of our boys were killed in combat last year.
Okay. But this year, is there any casualties in this
This year,
current conflict?
so far, there hasn't been much. There hasn't been any casualty from the community. But then the thing is that uh, the community takes very much takes part in the defense of the country and other things as well.
This is a quite long period. So, how do you carry on with your day-to-day activities amidst all this, missiles firing and all this kind of volatile situation?
Mhm. Let me tell you that one thing is for sure. Our lives are, even though the war's been going on, lives are going on as usual. And the thing is that we go to work every day as if it's a normal day. And of course, the thing is that the confrontations are confined to the what did you call it, the border areas and things like that. And so, okay, occasionally, and a missile gets fired, but that gets taken down by the interceptors. And then, of course, the last 12 days has been there's been an escalation since Iran came into the theater. Of course, that shook us a little bit, because one thing is that for sure we know that uh, the Iranians, when they fired those missiles, it's not like those $500 homemade rockets that was fired from Gaza. These are very serious uh, inter ICBMs, cruise missiles, drones, and things like that. And when the impact is when it impacts, you can make out the difference between the other rockets, because the impact is much more like thunderous, and you can feel the reverberations as well. So this time, when the Iranians fired their missiles, we took it very seriously. And the thing is that, luckily, in Israel, every residence, every house, every colony is equipped with a bunker, a bomb shelter. So whenever there's a missile warning, everybody, all of us, regardless, we just run to the bomb shelter, and that's the safest place. And it has saved a
Okay.
lot of lives. These things very effective.
But give us a sense of mood in Israel, and particularly after the ceasefire. Are the people happy with the ceasefire? Are they, are there political pressure on the government to, stop all kind of confrontation, be
Look,
it
as
with
far as
Israel, be it with Palestine,
Mhm.
Gaza?
Look, as far as things are concerned, the general mood is that most Israelis are fed up of all the attacks that we're getting from across the border and from Gaza and from the north in Lebanon and of course basically being threatened with annihilation by Iran and its proxies. And the thing is that the general mood I feel that is that like people think that the government should finish the job once and for all and to bring in peace. And here there's a general like overwhelming support for the war effort right now, and the people are ready to sacrifice whatever it is of their like comfort or whatever it is to to make sure the goals are achieved.
Okay. So, coming back to the Bnei Menashe community, could you share with us a brief history of the community? What led them to begin migrating from India to Israel?
The movement began in the what's now Mizoram back in the 50s, and out
Okay.
here there was a man. We had a seer called Tzala, and this Tzala declared that all the Kuki-Chin Mizo people living in India and Burma are the children of Israel, and it's the time for us to come back to our original religion, and then we should go back to Israel. So, but then the thing is that to put it shortly, the movement like gained a little bit of currency, and people started exploring the history and the all those things that's happening around us. So they found some parallels with our customs and the things from the Bible. And so people slowly, including my parents, in the early 70s, they started making an say journey towards like Judaism. And then of course during those days they didn't know that they were Jews anyway. They just thought that they lived by the words of the Bible. But then of course in the mid 70s or something like that, they found that there were the Jews as well. And then we came into contact with Rabbi Michael from Jerusalem, and which led us to our say journey towards Judaism. And of course, the first, say, Bnei Menashe came about like 30, 35 years ago and still going on right now. And this is and of course, like it's a spiritual quest, which we all have. And I think like this is what we would like to like achieve. This would be our ultimate goal, so to speak.
So, what is the genesis of this belief that this community is, descendant of Manasseh?
Look, we have an eponymous ancestor, somebody called Manmasi. And the story, we had a story of him as well. And this story matched with the original stories from the Bible. And then, of course, we have one poetry as well, which basically talks about, chapters from the Exodus, talks about the pillar of fire that guided us, the sea that parted, and which swallowed up our enemies. So for us, this is a definite pointer that definitely we are part of the ancient tribe of Israel.
Okay. So, what is the current population of the Bnei Menashe community in Israel? Uh,
Look, we are about 10,000 and about equally divided between Israel and India. 5,000 here and 5,000 there, approximately. I don't have the exact number, but this number would not be too far away from the real figure.
so, these 5,000 who are back in India, will they
Mhm.
be also migrating to Israel?
Well, I mean, everybody, more or less, everybody in Israel and everybody in India, they all have families on both sides. So the thing is that the government currently is, exploring ways to bring each and every Bnei Menashe, all the 5,000 here to Israel. And of course, I think like there's an intent and there's and it's quite serious as well. So I think like it'll be just a matter of time before all these 5,000 people are home here in Israel.
So, what is this migration process? How long it takes, and if you can, elaborate a little bit. Mm,
Look, there's no. I'm not a government official, so I can't really tell you the details about how this process goes about. But then one thing is that I know that the Knesset has to approve it, and it has to go through various offices and go through some scrutiny and like approvals. And then the process like gets when it gets approved, it goes to the Prime Minister's office, and when the Prime Minister office approves it, then the whole thing the process gets moving. But then there has to be willing intention, from the government to do that. And we've just been given an indication that yes, they are willing to do that, and they want to bring each and every of the 5,000 to 6,000 Bnei Menashe that's still in India back into come to Israel.
So when they migrate, do they get citizenship immediately? How well they get integrated into mainstream Israeli society?
Mhm. Look, the thing is that Israel is a very advanced society, and we come from a quite a, how do I call it, remote and backward area. So there's a little bit of a gap that happens sometimes. But then the thing is that to bridge those gaps, the government has a program, an absorption program to absorb like immigrants from not only from India but from all over the world. So there's a tailor. The government is making a kind of a tailor-made integration program for the Bnei Menashe. And so what usually happens is that like they're given what did you call it, some kind of tools so that they can adjust into the Israeli society, be it education, be it housing, be it I mean any general assistance that might be needed. So everything is in place. So the only thing that the say Bnei Menashe, when he comes to Israel, what he has to do is that he needs to know how to take advantage of these assistance given by the government. Everything is in place. It's very well organized.
Okay. So what is the migration policy of Israel? Like, are they welcoming all the Jewish community wherever they are across the world?
Yes, absolutely. It's the only Jewish state in the world, So the thing is that the policy of the government is that all Jews are welcome and should be made welcome. And if they apply for citizenship, they'll be given immediately. That's the
Okay.
only criteria one needs to be a citizen here in Israel.
The willingness to take the citizenship of Israel. That is
Yeah,
the only criteria.
that's the only criteria. And you have to be Jewish, of course.
Of course. Okay.
Any
And
Jew in the world.
so, like, to be Jew, like in Israel, one has to learn Hebrew and all. So, are they provide language training and all this thing to?
Well, I mean, if you remember earlier, I told you education about things that are provided for education. So, teaching language, is a part of that. And the thing is that, the first few months that an immigrant comes to Israel, usually what happens is that the government makes sure that for the first 6 months to maybe even a year, people are given an opportunity to go to a place called Ulpan. Ulpan means a studio where they have an intensive language coaching in which Hebrew is given a priority, in which the person is taught Hebrew so that he'll be able to speak the language and like get by.
Okay. And what about protecting like the community's own culture, language? Like, say, for instance, the people from Bnei Menashe, they have a very unique Zo cookie culture which they develop over the centuries. So, and they have also their own language. So, how are they, the Menashes who migrated to Israel, are they still pursuing their language and culture?
Look, the thing is that Israel is a country in which people from about 120 country comes in. So in effect, everybody is a minority. And the thing is that, like, I mean, it just depends on how big the minority they are. You know, so the point is that here, what you need to understand is that, and of course, another point which you have to take into consideration is that Israel is an enlightened democracy. So the thing is that, like, say here, for example, if you want to preserve your language, culture, or whatever, the initiative has to come from you. And then, of course, you can ask the government for assistance and things like that. And then, as far as the language is concerned, here usually the first generation and the second generation usually speak the language of the country that they come from. But then, usually, the third generation, it doesn't usually petter down to that, unfortunately. But then, of course, the thing is that, like out here, I most families here, first generation and second generation, they still speak the Kuki Mizo languages in their homes for daily communications. But then, of course, for work and for shopping and for all other things that's needed, Hebrew is mostly used, and it's very very important that you need to learn Hebrew as well. Of course, knowing the other language is always an advantage.
So tell us about the role Degel Menashe plays in supporting the community. what are some of
Mhm.
the key areas your organization
Mhm.
focuses on for their rehabilitation and integration?
Yeah. Okay. Degel Menashe, basically, we have one chief mission. That is like, to improve the lot of the Bnei Menashe and promote its integration and like immigration into Israel. And now lately, it's been about like 5 or 6 years that we've been in existence. So unfortunately, our society being quite a backward one, not much emphasis was given on education, unfortunately. And the thing is that we started this scholarship program, and so far in the past 5 years, we've given out scholarships about like say about 100 times. 100 times have been given out to about, I think, about 60 recipients. And then, of course, the results have been quite encouraging. And now we have about 30 or 35 people who have completed the graduations and masters as well. Unfortunately, in the past, not much emphasis was given on education, and Israel being such an advanced country. So it's become very, very necessary to have a level of education so that you'll be able to take advantage of the job markets here in Israel. So what we've done is we've given an emphasis on that, and then of course what we've done is that we've given out, say, when we first came into existence, coronavirus was rampant. We aided people, we aided communities in India, and after that, the ethnic war started in Manipur. We started giving out aid as well. All those things. And then, of course, and the thing is that we've been lobbying consistently for uh, the immigration of the Bnei Menashe. And we have more or less succeeded because, like I told you before, moments before that, the government has every intention to bring each and every Bnei Menashe to Israel and no one should be left behind. This is what we have done so far. And then, of course, recently, following the ethnic conflict, uh, the chairman of BMC, Bnei Menashe Council in India, he made his 200-acre plot available. And this is where we started started a camp for displaced people, and it has grown into a kind of a kibbutz, which we call Maoz too. You know, basically, which means the bastion of rock. So where people can find security and things like that. And so now it's grown into a community of about like 20 families and almost 100 members. We have a school. We started a school. We have a synagogue. And the thing is that we are on our way to turning it into a cooperative, self-sustainable community. And I think we are moving towards that.
Okay. So is your work limited to these communities who have migrated from Manipur and Mizoram, or you caters to all the Jewish migrants?
No, no. Ours is, look, there are thousands of organizations. And the thing is that our organization deals mainly with the Bnei Menashe from Manipur and Mizoram,
Okay.
chiefly. I mean, those are our target populations.
Bnei Menashe elsewhere outside Manipur and Mizoram?
Look, there might be some people who are posted in some various capacities, government services all over India. There might be some of them, and of course, I'm quite aware of some of them, but not as a community, as individuals.
So who exactly are these Menasses? What is the story in the Bible, or what is the origin, the genesis of
Mhm.
this community?
Look, the thing is that, if you refer to the Bible, for example, Abraham was the patriarch, and he had a son called Isaac, and Isaac had a son called Jacob, and Jacob was also known as Israel, and he had 12 sons, and one of his son was Joseph, and Joseph was had two sons, Ephraim and Menashe, in which the tribe came to be known as. I mean, the tribe of Joseph was say it became two. And because one thing is that one of the tribe called the priestly clan called the Levites, they belong to everybody. They're not considered a tribe. They consider the priestly clan. So the thing is that Menashe, the offspring of Joseph, is basically one of the sons of Joseph and grandson of Jacob, or otherwise known as Israel.